Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Brains and Beauty, and I'm so excited for today's video because it's going to be the first one in my new series, Make It or Buy It. In this series, every month I'm going to pick the new release for an eyeshadow palette that I really love the color story of, and I'm going to try to make it. Now, I'm not trying to be a chemist and make it from scratch, rather I'm a makeup lover who has a decent amount of eyeshadows already, and I like to get use out of these eyeshadows. So if I can end up using them by creating a new shade with them, then I think that's a really good way to, first of all, make sure that my eyeshadows don't expire, and then also it helps me save money, it helps me not create waste. So overall, I really like the idea of mixing the shadows I already own to create new shadows that I can also have fun playing with, and I feel like I have the newest color story from new releases. I created this idea based off of a couple of other videos that have inspired me. One of these types of videos are the ones where YouTubers already have single eyeshadow pans and that are very similar to the eyeshadows in new palettes, and then they essentially build the palette that dupes it or dupes the vibes of the new release. I also watch a lot of project panners who show and document how long it takes up to use their makeup, and that's how I know that eyeshadows take a lot longer than you'd think to use up. So that's why I kind of want to just sample these new color stories rather than buy an entire new palette. And in addition, these project panners, often to help them finish up an eyeshadow, they create like frankenshadows, which are when you mix different shadows into a shadow in order to create a new shade so that they'll just be more comfortable or want to use that new shade more. But I haven't seen anyone actually try to create a new release eyeshadow color story using their eyeshadows. So that is what my series is going to be about. I hope you enjoy it. What really pushed me to do this series was when ColourPop released in the winter of 2020. They released a palette that had a bunch of blue grays, and I realized how much I really desired a blue gray. And so that's when I mixed a blue with a black and a white, and I created this blue gray, and I love it so much. So that is what inspired this entire series, but I'm actually going to, this was just one shade from that ColourPop palette, but I want to actually create every single shade. So let's just get started. Here I have sanitized everything with 99% alcohol. And so these are all sanitized. I have this, I'm going to be dry pressing the mattes, and then I'm going to probably use this mixing medium for pressing the shimmers. So that's what I'm going to be doing there. And then I'm going to use this to grind up the shadows and mix them very well. This has also been sanitized. All these are, I'm just going to be using them on myself, so I don't feel the need to wear gloves, but if you do or are planning to make eyeshadows for someone else, definitely ensure everything is sanitized, wear gloves, sanitize your desk, everything. Okay, but we're gonna get started. I want to show you some of the mints that I already have because I'll pop up the picture on the screen of the palette that I'm going to try to make, which is the new e.l.f. palette called Mint to Be. And it's so cute. I absolutely love mints, and especially like I just showed you, I've been loving this kind of muted, grayed out color story. So this is just the perfect palette for my first video in this series. So I want to show you the closest things I have to mint already in my collection first. So I have this palette. I'd say these two are the closest to mint in this palette. I also have this Huda Emerald palette. I'd say this is the closest to mint. I absolutely love this shade. I don't know if you can see there's already a bit of a dent in it. This is such a beautiful pastel, minty sea green kind of shade. So there's this. I have these NYX prismatic eyeshadows. So I have this one in Glass Slipper. And then I also have this one in Mermaid, which you can see is like this because I scraped out from it before. So I'm going to start off with the light mint shade. If you're going from left to right, it's the third shade. And I'm going to start off with that, and then I'll do the fourth shade, so the kind of darker gray mint shade, and then we'll do the shimmers. I'm going to actually first try to create the mint shade itself. So rather than trying to adjust a similar mint tone, I'm going to try to create it from green, blue, white, and some black. beautiful light mint tone going on here, but it's a lot more gray in the e.l.f. palette. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of black at a time, add a little bit more white, and keep going until I have a grayed out color of this color. I think we're actually getting there for this shade. The first one. I really like this tone. What do you guys think? I think it's actually a really good match. I could make it a little bit lighter, or yeah, just a little bit lighter maybe. I can add a little bit more white. But really, I think this is the color that we're looking for that light mint kind of grayed out color. So I think this looks really similar to what's on the eyes of the model on Elsa's page. So I'm gonna go with this. What I'm going to be doing for the mattes is dry pressing them, so literally just picking up from here, putting in there. If it forms a layer, I'm going to press it and then add another layer and press that. I don't think I mentioned, but these pans are very, very tiny because, again, I just want to sample the color story rather than make a bunch of it. And so these are tiny, and I got them from TKB Trading. I got about 100 of these for around $13 or $14. And then I just stuck on one of them onto the stamper, and I'm going to just press that in to essentially get the shadow all compact inside the pan. I am so excited. That is our first shadow done. I'm going to put it in the magnetic palette. And then I do have still a bit of powder in here left. I'm going to use this in order to create the next matte shade. So that one is essentially the exact same undertone, it's just darker. So I'm going to be adding in some black and see how that works. But for now, I'm going to put this into there, and then I'm going to add some more black, and you guys will see the time lapse of this. So I think for this one I actually added too much black, so we should be very careful with the blacks. When I scraped, I didn't completely put in what I scraped because I felt like it was too much, and it was still too much. So this looks like it's just starting to look very just gray. So we're losing that kind of undertone to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a bit more of the blue, yellow, green, and we'll see what turns out. So I swatched this one out. It did take 2 rounds. Like I added another, as you saw, blue, green, yellow, because I felt like it was still too gray, and now it's just perfect. Like this is the perfect dark mint kind of color. And I swatched it out here, and I think that's it for our matte. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna scrape from here into the pan, press it, and then I'll time lapse that as well. like a mess and also learn that this is actually magnetic, and so if you bring it too close, like this is the spatula from Inglot, so if I bring it too close to those pans, it totally tipped it over. So that's a lesson learned, but this is sanitized the coaster before I started, and so I just scoop back what I could. But anyways, this is as full as I wanted anyways, and I'm really happy with this shade, and I made a total mess, but I had fun. So, and I'm excited to use this. I'm going to put this in the magnetic palette. Okay, so it's in the magnetic palette, and I'm going to now just clean some things up, and then we're going to do the two shimmers. So I'm back, and things are a little cleaner here. I washed this out, and I sanitized things again. So we're going to get started on the two shimmer shades from the e.l.f. palette. I'm going to start again with a lighter one. This should go a bit faster because I'm not going to make the colors from scratch. I just really wanted to do that for the mattes. But for this one, I'm going to be mixing the shade that I showed you before, Glass Slipper from NYX, because it has this kind of iridescent green quality to it that I think the shimmer in the e.l.f. has, but the shimmer in the e.l.f. is a silver base, and so I'm going to mix a pure silver with this, and we'll see what we come up with. So that's what I'm going to be using. As well, I'm going to be using this when it comes time to presses. So you can use rubbing alcohol. Now these are tin pans, so if I were to use rubbing alcohol, it has to be 99%, no water, else it's going to rust, because the pans themselves are magnetic, they're made of tin. If they were the aluminum pans that have a magnetic stuck to the bottom, then you could use something that wasn't a 99% pure alcohol. But I decided, because I know that sometimes alcohol can dry out shimmers, to just try out the TKB Trading pressing base that they essentially sell. And I got this for I think $6, so it's not too expensive, and we're going to try it out today. So the silver that I put in is the shade Glam Rock from my Heavy Metals palette, and I really love this silver. It's just so shiny, but I'm starting to realize that I think the undertone of this is pretty dark gray, even though the shine is really pretty. The undertone is too dark for this shadow, so it created a bit of this like gray on the edges. So I want to see if I can find something, maybe a lighter silver in my collection that I can use. So I'm back, and I actually did not find anything in my collection that was like a bright silver without a deep base. And you know, I've always wanted the Ofra Glazed Donut highlighter, which would have been a perfect thing to mix in right now, but I don't have that yet. So I think this actually has pointed out to me the gaps in my collection, which is something really valuable about this series as well. Like I said, it's a make it or buy it. So I actually think that I do have this gap in my collection, and for now what I'm going to try to do is mix more of this into it, and we'll see where we get with it, but it might not be as light as the shimmer that's in the e.l.f. palette. that shade. I tried mixing in some white to balance out the undertone of the gray and the silver shadow, but it's still turning out just now a light gray. So that was kind of what I was showing you here. And I added in some more of this, and so what we're getting here now is just a light gray with that same kind of iridescent mint green shift as the one in the e.l.f. palette, but the base is not the same. So that's the main thing about this. I think I'm still happy that I learned and I did this. I think that at least this actually fits with the color story of the palette. Having a light gray base is okay. It doesn't really clash with the color story. And I'm still going to use it. So I will press this right now, and then I'll also speed this up, and then we'll talk after. So I'm back. I washed this again because I don't want the gray color to get into the last shimmer that we're going to make, which is more of a green than it is a mint in my opinion, but we're going to try to make that one last. And I can't swatch the wet shimmer. We're going to have to wait until it dries, but let's get on to the last shimmer. Alright, so I took a bit of time just to swatch around my greens, and I actually really think that in the Huda palette, this green and this green mixed is exactly the e.l.f. 4th shimmer shade, and so that's what we're going to do. This one actually was really quick. I feel like I'm really happy with this color. It's hard to tell sometimes because I'm just looking at the swatches on the e.l.f. website, and we all know that those are edited. But I think that this actually does work for the color. It's a beautiful mid-tone green. It's super shiny, and it has this shine that is not too silver and not too gold, so it's right in between. So I think that this is the perfect shade for the 4th shimmer, and I'm just going to do the mixing medium and press it in. Okay, so this is after I pressed it. I used a tissue and then I pressed it with that off screen just because it's easier. And it didn't press flat. I think that's just because I have so little in here because I only scraped a little bit out. I actually really love these green shades from the Huda palette, so I didn't want to dig too much out. But this is a way to have fun and sample it. So I actually really enjoy this color, and I'm going to be putting this in this palette, and I'll insert some swatches once these shimmers have dried. But overall, I enjoyed making this. I think we learned a lot together in this process. I think the mattes are way easier to make. You have to be careful of the undertones of shimmers. Just because they're really bright doesn't mean they don't have a dark base. And then this one, I just feel like this one was the easiest actually. Not to press because I didn't put enough in, but it just, I had two colors that easily mixed to make it. And then in terms of here, I don't know if you noticed, but in the first one when I was making the shimmer, I tried to put the mixing medium into the pan and it was just hard because it's such a tiny pan. But for this one, I thought maybe I'll try putting the mixing medium in here first and then just scoop it out, but it's actually harder. It's because I think this actually presses it in, so I wouldn't recommend doing that. I won't do that again. Next time I'll just put the mixing medium in the pan. But yeah, I'm excited to play with these once these two shimmers dry. And overall, I had a lot of fun. Even though this shade is not what I wanted it to be, I still think it's a pretty shade. And I don't think I need the e.l.f. palette because I already made 3 of the 4 shades. So this is our Mint 4-pan palette, and I feel like this suffices what the e.l.f. palette would have given me. And then also just to note, yes, that shimmer didn't work, but if I really did want that shade, I was going in the right direction. If I swatch the silver that I do have, so on my eyes, if I were to swatch the silver, and then I were to top it with the glass slipper, I would get the exact same shade from the e.l.f. palette, a silver with this iridescent. So I didn't need to make this into a pan. It's very easy to just top these on my eyes, and I likely will do this when I create looks with this palette because I do like this kind of silver with an iridescent green shift, and I wouldn't have thought about it if I didn't go through this whole process. So I will honestly be combining these two shadows like this on my eyes more often, but the idea was I wanted to see if I could have a pan that could just easily dip into one shadow and get the look, and I figured that I actually could not, but I'm still able to do that look using these two shadows. So overall, I'm really satisfied. We learned a lot in this first video of the series. I hope you'll join me for future videos. I absolutely love eyeshadows, and so I can't wait for the next release that we're going to make together. But yeah, that's it for today. I'm just going to clean up this space. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!